Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, I didn't really intend to do another particular video on um, anything right away today, but I saw Thrifty Kniffy put up a post where he basically got trolled. Somebody was trying to troll him on Chinese knives. Use all the standard tropes, communist, Chinese, slave labor, and it just got me to thinking about this, right? So as you know, China makes a lot of these lights, flashlights, not just knives, but flashlights, cell phones, kitchen utensils, hardware, food. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that China makes. But if you're on a YouTube channel that happens to sell or be involved with anything that has to do with anything with China, you will find people that like to come up and troll the channel or virtue signal. I call it virtue signaling because anytime you have to exaggerate your claim or escalate it, your original claim is not that good. Chinese slave labor. All right, so you're telling me that these guys don't get paid. That's what a slave is. They don't get paid at all. They don't get paid in money. They don't get paid in anything. They're just property. They're chained to their workbench, and they're worked there until they die, and then they replace them with another one, just like animals or cattle. Come on, man! If you've got to go that far, that's bullshit. I'm just call it out right now. It's bullshit. You're full of shit. Um, yes, the communist. You can list a bunch of things that's bad about China and communism and unfair trade practices. You can go on with a lot of that other stuff. But slave labor, you can say the same thing about American workers. How about American workers that are getting paid, less than their worth? That's a sort of a form of slavery. If you look at what real slavery is, you wouldn't use it so lightly. People were treated a lot worse than even animals would have been treated. You treat an animal better than you would treat a slave a lot of times. Treat them like property. So no, don't give me that crap about the Chinese not as being slave labor. It's what it is someone is trying to say, hey, I'm better than the rest of you because I have fill in the blank, whatever country that they're patriotic to. French knife, American knife, or whatever, American flashlight. Here's an American flashlight. Mini mag light. Guess what? They didn't keep up. They didn't keep up with the times. They weren't getting up with LEDs. It took them a while. I even had to buy this one. Look, this was an early replacement LED. This was your early LED lights, just some basic, thrown on a little board there, and boom, there you go. That's how you replace it. I like American companies. I like all this other stuff, but as far as like China goes, this is Maglite trying to keep up with LEDs, AAA LED. This one was when I really started realizing, wow, LEDs are a huge improvement over incandescent bulbs. Up until then, this thing right here would put out as much power and light as a 5D cell AAA, 5D cell mag light, Huge, heavy thing. And this was a lot lighter, smaller capacity. I don't remember what it ran on. Batteries are out of it. This thing's dead. Something went wanky with it, and off it went. It's gone now. Just a memory. But yeah, flashlights evolve. If China gets knocked down on the manufacturing market, if you watch any of the political stuff that like Peter Zion or whatever talks about, he's basically China got crazy with their population control, and they don't have enough young people to do stuff. Now, I think he's kind of extreme because it makes it sound like that nobody's making babies anymore, and I can tell you that's wrong. Right across My hallway is a family with babies, lots of different ages of babies, but I understand what they're talking about, on that. But he's saying basically that the way China is going politically, they're alienating themselves with their population. They're doing a lot of bad stuff, and something's going to happen. There's going to be, there could be a regime change or something else. But all these things that we're taking for granted right now, like the cheap, all this other stuff, all that stuff could get wiped out. And then you could be back to American manufacturers that some of them just take their sweet time and they don't innovate. They just sit there and they sit on their laurels and they make the same thing over and over because they're already making money on it. Why should they invent, and why should they keep up and go ahead? Because competition. If you've got competition. Now, again, with China, we can talk about unfair competition. There's, some things like when you get free shipping from China, it's not really free. You're paying for it. There's just things that are worked around in the back doors that you don't have any idea of a lot of times unless somebody tells you about it. And, yeah, there's a lot of unfair things that go on, but you can't sit there and take a knife that someone is saying, hey, this is decent quality and pretty decent value, and sit there and say, well, yeah, if you like supporting communism and slave labor, go ahead and buy one of those. Me, I'm patriotic. I buy American and I support American. Again, you may think you're doing the right thing by doing that, but it all depends upon the politics of the time and who runs the companies and stuff like that. And you're never going to be 100% buying everything America in America. It just doesn't happen. Our society shifted from a manufacturing society to more of a goods and services and consumerism. We shifted from making things to buying, most of our stuff. Used to be everything you bought was manufactured. Very few things were imported. And back then it was Japan. Japan was the cheap junk that now people like, oh, Seiko watch, or something like that. I don't know if Seiko's made in Japan, but it sounds like a Japanese name. Cameras, they made good cameras. A lot of their initial knives were kind of crappy, but they started learning how to do manufacturing better and dealing with better stuff. It all depends on what somebody was asking for. Give me a cheap knife, I don't care what steel it is. They turn them out and people later on are like, man, this is a cheap knife. Well, that's what the guy asked for. He didn't tell us to take... Japanese know how to make steel. They know how to do that. You didn't ask for that. You asked for a cheap... Then China is a different thing, a situation also. Because on a lot of them, you have to give up your intellectual property rights to your things so they could just mass produce it. I think I was watching Ben talking about that on a interview. He was saying basically, yeah, he understood that, yeah, it's a possibility. You just have to trust the people you're dealing with. And it's the same thing with knife companies. I doubt Rough Rider, Smoky Mountain Knife Work would be doing business with a company for this long if everybody was slave labor and they were being held at gunpoint. They could work there, but their family was being held as hostage and all. It's just again, anytime you've got to inflate something, exaggerate it, or lie about it, your original argument is not about that. Get it down to what it is that you really don't like. You don't like the Chinese Communist Party? Well, okay, go ahead and say that. That's what you got an issue with. But don't sit there and say that somebody that bought a knife that was made in China is now all of a sudden just handing over money, directly to the Chinese Communist Party. Because in a way, they're going to get their chunk out of it just like anything else. So in a way, that's correct. But it's the same way with the damn iPhone that you pay thousands of dollars for. You're talking about a $25 knife, and you're making this big issue, and you never see them up on a if there is a phone web forum or something, talking about Chinese knives. You never see them out there picketing T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon, saying, slave labor is used to make these. No, What do? They go in there and they buy these phones and they buy these things because they're useful and they use them. Some people say, well, I don't have any choice. You got a choice. You cannot use a damn phone if you're so worried about technology and everything. Go back to using a typewriter and a pen and pencil. You know, don't give me that crap. That's what it is. These messages left on a channel like Thrifty was talking about, Budget Knife Forum, you know you're going to run into some Chinese knives out there. If you drop a message that sits there that says, like the one he did, screen captured, that says, and the funny thing about this one was the guy that dropped that wasn't somebody completely anonymous. It was somebody that apparently, I guess, had reviewed knives before, Chinese knives. So, yeah, it's just baiting. It's just designed to and piss you off, but it does piss me off because what it is, they're trying to hide behind saying, I'm better than the rest of you people. You know, don't let those people get to you. You know, they're not better than you. Believe me, they are not better than you just because they don't buy a Chinese knife. But they go home in their Chinese component cars or they eat their Chinese takeout. Sit home and type on their Chinese phone all about how they hate stuff made in China. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's just as valid of an, you know, your argument falls. It's like trying to eat soup. Trying to eat soup with a comb. You know, good luck with that. You know, you might get the chunky parts, but you're using the wrong tool. And when you come up to any channel that's got Chinese-made products and you start dropping your right-wing or whatever propaganda over here about how it's slave labor, your argument goes out the window, you know. You can be right or left wing. It doesn't matter to me what wing you're flying on. You're flying in circles. Your logic is circular. You're attacking the wrong thing. You know, so before, those who, you know, live in glass houses should watch out about throwing stones all about stuff, you know. Anyway, just want to get this little rant out of my system. So there you go. I ordered another one of these in black, and it should arrive here Wednesday. And I'll do an unboxing, and I'll find out if it's... I know this one's defective, but we'll find out how one with all the fabulous and freaky features. Fabulous, freaky, freaky, fabulous features. Let me try to say that. She sells oh man. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. See, I can get that one. But the seashells down by the seashore, I don't know. I couldn't do that one. It's all Peppy's fault. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.